to learn and stay connected to cancer support community during this time that we are going virtual. Today's presentation is all about sleep hygiene and good rest habits. My name is Gabby Ingram.
And I'm Maddie Kovacs.
Our presentation today was developed by us in collaboration with another one of our classmates from the University of Indianapolis. We are Doctor of Occupational Therapy students, and Maddie and I are currently completing our doctoral capstone experiences here at Cancer Support Community. So what is sleep hygiene? Simply put, sleep hygiene is good sleep habits. And kind of speaking to why this matters, cancer survivors should be receiving between 6 and 8 hours of sleep per night. And that's really because cancer survivors are twice the risk, more likely to experience poor sleep quality than the general population due to both physical stressors and psychosocial stressors. 76% of cancer survivors experience frequent wake during the night. So really we just wanted to deliver this presentation to give you guys information, tips and tricks, and also some helpful hints and different materials that you can use to get better rest.
So looking at kind of some of those symptoms of sleep disturbance or insomnia, a lot of people in the general population feel like they have this sleep disturbance, or I see a lot of posts on Facebook of, oh, my insomnia is so bad. But some of the kind of major symptoms that we see are difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. And with that, it's difficulty falling asleep within a 30-minute time period. That seems like a lot to some, but I know I have nights where it takes me a lot more than 30 minutes to fall asleep. Another sign or symptom is waking up during the night kind of frequently, and that's more than just waking up once in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, because that's something that a lot of people do. So just that constant waking up, difficulty falling back asleep, staying in that nice sleep cycle. The next thing is having that daytime tiredness and fatigue, and I can't get anything done because I'm not sleeping at night. Just having some of those feelings. We also see irritability, depression, or anxiety. So these are all mood disorders that we can see because when we don't sleep well, we can become a little grumpy, at least I can. And so I think that, everything correlates. And when we're not sleeping well, we're not doing what we need to in the way that we need to, and it's going to lead to some of that depression, anxiety, irritability. Poor concentration and memory also are part of insomnia and sleep disturbance. It again is you can't stay asleep, you can't get that good night's sleep. You're not going to remember everything that you need to, and you're going to feel like almost in a groggy state during the day. So all of this relates really well together. We also have sleep described as non-refreshing or poor quality. We hear that a lot from cancer survivors and their caregivers, just because it's something that, after you learn of a diagnosis or things like that, it can be hard to take that in. So having that can be a challenge. The last thing that we say is a symptom of insomnia or that sleep disturbance is poor sleep efficiency, which is just the ratio of that actual sleep versus the time you spent in bed. So if I'm in bed for 8 hours, but I only slept 4 hours, that sleep efficiency is not very good. But if I'm in bed for 8 hours and I got 7 solid hours of sleep, that's what we're hoping for. So looking at some of the contributing factors to poor sleep, gender, family history, and age all play a role. Unfortunately, ladies, it affects us a little bit more than our male counterparts. Mental health history can play into this. So we talked about on our last slide how mental health can be affected by this not sleeping. But mental health history of having mood, anxiety disorders, other things can play a role in that. Similarly, existing sleep disorders such as restless leg syndromes, sleep apnea, things like that can play a part. With restless leg syndrome, something that you can do to try and kind of counteract that, try and use a weighted blanket. See if that helps. And if you don't have a weighted blanket, just kind of put extra pressure on it through pillows or extra blankets, things like that. We also then have a lot of our ones on this side of the screen kind of playing together. So our stress, pain, fatigue, which doesn't seem like it would make sense. We're fatigued, but we are not sleeping well. How does that work? So we're going to talk about that. Also, caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol use play a very large role in this poor sleep. We also have the sleep-wake cycle, so that internal clock, which you want to make sure that during the day you're exposing yourself to a safe amount of sunlight, whether it be inside through a window, if you can go outside, but also use the sunscreen when you're outside. And just so that your body knows, okay, now it's daytime, I need to be awake. And then at night, you can hit that sleep really well. This can be challenging, especially in the winter months. And I know we're coming out of it, we're hopping into spring. But in the winter, when it always seems so gloomy and it gets dark so early, and so it's important to make sure that even during that time, we're keeping that internal clock on a normal cycle. And then poor sleep habits, just staying up really late or sleeping a lot during the day, things like that. And then some medications can be contributing factors of poor sleep. So if you feel like you have medications that could be playing a role, you can talk with your care team to see if they know that no side effects of some of those medications and if they include your medications.
So some tips and helpful tricks for sleep hygiene. So first, try to set a schedule. And by setting that schedule, try to stick to the schedule. That can be kind of tricky. I know especially if you have days off, you're working from home, it's the weekend. However, really try to stick to that schedule and kind of give yourself maybe an hour of leeway to sleep in versus sleeping until noon one day and then throwing your cycle completely off. The next is don't force yourself to sleep. So as Maddie kind of mentioned, if you're in bed for a while and you're having trouble falling asleep and an hour has gone by or even 30 minutes like she said, if you haven't fallen asleep, get up, try to do something that's calming, that will kind of soothe or relax you to try to get, then go back to sleep and try to get some restful sleep. Examples of this could be reading a book, journaling, doing some sort of meditation. Really the only tip and kind of thing to steer away from would be technology. The screens and different technology devices can emit that light that really wants to wake our brains up versus letting us rest and fall asleep. I know I am guilty and not so good at that, but it's definitely very stimulating and wants to wake us up versus put us to sleep. As Maddie also mentioned, avoid caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine as much as you can, but especially right before bed. These really can affect the ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Something to note here, even decaf coffee has some amount of caffeine in it, and can really trick our brain into staying up and being more awake. Also with this, specifically with caffeine can stay into your body system for 12 hours or longer. So even if you're drinking it in the morning or through the morning hours up until lunch, it can really prolong and kind of affect that night's sleep. With this, next one is avoid napping. So maybe not altogether, because I know we talked with fatigue, it's important to let our bodies rest, listen to our limits, kind of take small naps in that way. However, with this we say try to avoid napping longer than an hour or kind of in those evening hours right before you're setting your body up to go to bed then. It just makes it more difficult to fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night if you're napping frequently or for long durations of time. The next one is use your bed only for sleep. So with this one, we're talking about kind of the association that your brain and your body can make. So if you're, sitting up in your bed, watching TV, doing your taxes, studying for a test, etc., whatever that may be, your mind is kind of not really associating that bed as a place for solely to sleep. So kind of these connections happen without our control and without kind of our executive influence on that. They're kind of doing it behind the scenes. So if you only sleep in your bed, your body will kind of learn that when you go to bed, it's time to rest, it's time to calm, and kind of make that association that way. The next one is sleep in a comfortable environment. So for this one, you definitely want to sleep in a room that's quiet, dark, comfortable, kind of whatever works for you. Some people like that noise of a fan or a sound machine. I know there's like white noise, there can be ocean waves, different things that are available these days. Some people prefer to use an eye mask or earplugs. This can be especially helpful if maybe your partner, if you have a sleeping partner, maybe they like noise but you don't, so you can try earplugs, or vice versa. Maybe suggest that they use earplugs if they don't like the noise that you need for your restful sleep. But really kind of use things to your advantage to make your environment as comfortable as possible so that you're setting yourself up for the best night's sleep. The next tip we have here is use pillows for positioning. So with this, we're really thinking about people who have back pain, shoulder pain, leg pain, kind of whatever that looks like for you. Also, that can set you up for just being comfortable. You may not experience pain, but positioning pillows in different ways might just help you get more comfortable and make you have more restful sleep. So with that kind of tip and trick, we have some handouts here that we'll kind of talk about a little bit later, and also will come out with our presentation when it is released. So we do have this handout here that has pictures of different places that you can put pillows, different sized pillows. One is specifically to back pain. We have neck pain, neuropathy, it gives kind of a little tip there, and then shoulder pain. Also on this handout is the website we got it from. So if you need more resources or information or kind of want to dive deeper into that, we've also provided that resource there for you. The last kind of tip and trick here is to exercise and eat well. And those kind of speak for themselves. However, it is important that you try to avoid strenuous activity and large meals 2 hours before you're trying to go to bed. That strenuous activity can really wake our bodies up and give us actually more energy, because we talk about that as kind of a fighter of the fatigue, so it can wake our bodies up in that way. And then big meals, your body can't really rest very well if it's digesting a big meal, so you want to kind of avoid those things within that 2 hour window that you're really trying to go to sleep. With the exercise, we do say, talk to your healthcare team, see what's right for you. Everyone kind of is different and has a different journey, so we do want you to be the safest and kind of keep those things in mind. Talk to your healthcare team about that.
So now looking at some of the different apps that can be used for relaxation and sleep. Some might think, oh, but it's counterintuitive because you just told us that the blue light from your electronic devices is not good for you for sleep. Well, a lot of these apps that we'll talk a little bit about have where you can put your phone face down, or you can lock your phone and it's still going to play whatever it is that you have going on. A lot of these apps don't have things for you to go through on your phone and be looking at the blue light. It's a lot more of the story time and relaxing sounds, things like that. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is just a list of apps that we've had recommended by other healthcare professionals, by clients that we've seen. So the first one is the Calm app. If you are on any social media, I'm sure you've seen all of their advertisements, but they have different sounds, things like that. Something to note with all of these apps is that most of them have a free aspect. After certain things, they may ask that you pay, but there are things that are free full time. So you can use just the free. If you are able and you want to, you can download the stuff that you have to pay a little bit for. But the next app is Headspace. Again, gives story time, has just some calm noises, gets you ready for sleep. Sleep Cycle, again, very similar, has a lot of the same things, which is wonderful. Relax Melodies, which is sleep sounds, again, just listening to the waves if you like the waves. A nice breeze if you need the white noise. Some people like that white noise, things like that. The next one, I don't know how to say it. I always just kind of say bzzz, but it's P-Z-I-Z-Z. And it's for sleep, nap, and focus. So it's just, again, very similar, kind of doing that meditation and relaxing, getting yourself ready for bed. And the last one on our list, again, not the last one that's available, is Insight Timer. And this one has a lot of stories and gets you ready, calming voices, things like that. So that's just some apps that you can help with tips and tricks. Other worksheets that we have that will be available after this presentation, we have just a sleep hygiene tips handout, similar to what we went through in the presentation. And then we also have a tackling your insomnia symptoms, and it is a clock. It just kind of talks about some of the different symptoms of insomnia and ways that you can try to tackle them and, you know, work with your healthcare team to figure out your best night's sleep.
With that, that concludes our presentation about sleep hygiene. If you do have any questions, please email either Maddie or myself. Our emails are up here. Hopefully you can see them through the screen, but it's Gabby@cancersupportindy.org or Maddie@cancersupportindy.org. And then, yeah, you can email us any questions, concerns, share your favorite tips. We're open to more education of what works for you guys. But we do kind of ask, just so we can track who has joined us during this presentation and session, if you want to comment the word sleep below, or email Maddie or myself, or both of us. We'd love to hear from you, just to see who's tuned in. Please do so cancer support community can really track who we're reaching, especially during this virtual time. We, and I know the staff here, would really appreciate your comment or your kind of attendance check-in. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. These are our references, so this is kind of the information. We didn't just make it up. So yes, thank you guys so much.
Thanks.